Hello, my name is Liene and welcome back to my channel and welcome to Summer Reading Wrap-Up. As you may know, or maybe you don't, I took a break from creating videos during the summer. There were 2 videos that went up related to my readathon, the Cat Lady readathon. So I have things to catch up on, and the one thing that I definitely need to do is the wrap-up. So this wrap-up will contain the books that I read in June, July, and August. I'm gonna try and keep it as short as possible, but I read 17 books during the summer. I did better than I thought I would, but since it is books that I read during the last 3 months, I might not remember a lot about the books, especially the ones that I read at the beginning of the summer in June, when I decided that I need a break from creating videos and I wasn't in the greatest mood. So yeah, I'm gonna go in the order I read the books. I have read quite a lot of ebooks. I feel like about half of the books I read during the summer were ebooks because it was really easy to read them, especially in the evenings when you don't have to put the light on. You just can take your Kindle and read it in the dark. And that was what I did. And I really enjoyed it. I don't think I have read as many ebooks as I've read this summer for a really long time. I have a lot of books to talk to you about, so let's make it quick. First, Sanctuary by V.V. James. This is a book set in a small town. There is a tragic accident when I feel like the lead athlete or something like that, some athlete of the school dies, and then the rumors start that it wasn't an accident. So it involves like finding out what happens. I enjoyed the book while I read it. It was a really compelling story because I wanted to know what is actually happening and what has happened. This book contains magic, like witches. That is a well-known thing, but there are a lot of things that witches can't do. So that part was really interesting. And the thing that was in this book that I can say I disliked it or I liked it, but how quickly friends, I don't think you can consider them friends if they can that quickly turn on you and not believe you. And yeah, that was one thing in this book. So how quickly the society takes a stance based on some prejudices, I guess. I hope those are the right words I'm using. But yeah, I enjoyed while I read it. I think it was an interesting read. So, yep. Then the next was ebook. It was Georgia Peaches and Other Forbidden Fruit by Faye Robin Brown. It is a YA contemporary book about a girl who has to move towns because her father gets married. Her father is a priest or someone who, or maybe not a priest, I don't know. He was a religious kind of leader, like a priest. I don't remember the specific religion, like is it Christianity or I know nothing about religion, so I don't know what words to be used. I don't remember what was used in the book. So she comes from a religious family, but they are open-minded. And then she moves to the town where they are really, really close-minded and prejudiced, especially towards the LGBTQ community, and it involves that and her figuring things out. And there is a deal. She made a deal with her father not to do something, and it is about how it affects her and her making new friends in the new school. It was interesting. I liked it. So, yeah. I feel like I'm gonna end talking about every book. So, yeah. Next, I read another ebook, Doing It by Hannah Witten. Hannah is a YouTuber. She talks about sex and relationships on her main channel, and then she has another channel when she talks about more about life-related stuff and being a mom and stuff like that. This book came out a while ago, and it is about sex and relationships, and it is aimed towards teenagers, I feel like. It was interesting to read a lot of different experiences and opinions relating to a lot of different topics. So if you're interested in nonfiction about sex, relationships, sexuality, and things like that, you can pick it up and check it out. It was interesting, as I said, but I don't think there's much I can tell about it, except that. Next, I read Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This was a romance book, kind of a bully romance. There are two characters that were pen pals when they were younger. They were paired up by a teacher to have a pen pal for about a year, but after the year ended, they continued writing letters. But then one day, one of them stops writing, and it is known pretty quickly that they form kind of a relationship in real life, but one of them knows that the other one is their pen pal, and the other one doesn't know. And the thing I didn't like was the bullying part. I didn't see the reason behind it. I think I will never see the reason, even though maybe someone have done something bad and you want to punish them for the wrong thing they have done. I don't think that bullying and being intentionally mean is the right thing to do. So I really didn't like that one. Otherwise, it was an okay read. Of course, there are secrets and background things, and quite quickly they start a romantic, not a romantic, I don't know, sexual kind of thing. But yeah, it was okay book. The bullying part I didn't like. Then another ebook, Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. This is a romance book about two teenagers that start a relationship. There are a lot of secrets, hiding things, and of course everything comes out and there is a drama. There is an underlying weird note, like you know that something is off while you read it, but of course by the end you figure out things. I don't know how much to tell it, but it was okay. I don't know. I don't remember a lot of things. The things I remember, I feel like are spoilery, so I'm not gonna talk that much about it anymore. But yeah, it was an okay kind of romance-y book. That's it. So those were the books for June. Now July, the first book in July was 40 Rules of Love, or I don't remember the exact title. I read it in Latvian, and I'm gonna put the English title here, like the cover of the book by Elif Shafak. It was, I don't know, I expected something more because someone recommended it as their favorite book, but I don't like cheating or an intention of cheating in books. So it is about a woman who feels lost. She's like 40, about 40 years old, I feel like. She has two grown-up kids, and her relationship with her husband is not the best, and she questions a lot of things. And she is reading a novel for her work, and she really loves it, and she reaches out to the author of that book and starts like email kind of a thing with him. And yeah, there are parts of that novel she's writing and reviewing in the book, and I didn't understand that. I would have liked more about her, about the woman, about her relationships, about her life. It was in a lot of parts just jumped to one thing to another, and I didn't really feel for her. Maybe that was the issue why I didn't really enjoy the story. Then the next book I read was For Real by Alexis Hall. This was my first Alexis Hall book, and it was my first BDSM romance, male romance. And it was something. I didn't hate the book, but I feel like I didn't expect that level of describing sex scenes, BDSM kind of things between those two male characters. So it was something new to me, something I know nothing about. So it was interesting, let's say, to read, something I didn't expect. But I didn't hate the book. It is a book about two men who start a relationship kind of by an accident. One is kind of out of the relationship and is still heartbroken over that. And he's a bit older, and then he meets the younger guy, and they start sexual relationship. It's like the sex is first, and then it grows, the relationship changes and grows into something more. So yeah, that's it. Then I read a poetry collection by Latvian author Ķiršu lietus by Alfrēds Krūklis, or Cherry Rain. This is, as I said, a poetry collection. There were some familiar poems in this one, and I don't hate poetry. I struggle with it, but what I've figured out, I don't struggle as much with poetry in Latvian as I do if I read it in English. And I like when poetry rhymes. I don't know. Maybe I need to read more of it and try a lot of different things, but this kind of poetry I can read. And I enjoyed it for what it was. This is the book. There was one poem that made me bawl my eyes out. I don't remember which one was it, what it was even about, but I couldn't stop crying. I cried in that one, then I read the next one, and I just couldn't stop crying. So it moved me. The last book for July was When the Moon Was Ours by Anne-Marie McLemore. I don't remember anything about this book. Now that I think about it, I know I have it in my reading journal. I have read it. I remember that I have read it, but I have no idea what the book was about. So, what do I do now? I'm gonna think a bit, and when I come back, hopefully I will remember something. I think I don't remember because it was a weird one. There were two kids, and the way they turned up in the town, one was definitely weird because the girl came from a water tower that fell down and she was in there. And then there's the boy who makes moons. And I think this was the magical realism kind of thing. Because there is magic. There is magical things happening. But it was really weird. So about those two kids, they have a relationship, kind of a romantic relationship, but it was weird. Yeah, that's all I can remember right now, and I don't think I enjoyed it, I guess, because I don't remember anything about it, and this is the only thing I remember. Girl that came out from the tower, and she had some kind of a power, but I don't remember what kind of a power. She could do something. And she wasn't really liked in her town, I feel like. But yeah, I can't say anything much about it. So then August was the best reading month of the summer because I read 8 books. So almost half of the books I read during the summer were in August. Let's start with the first book I read, and it was a reread for me. It was Daddy Longlegs by Jean Webster. This is one of my favorite books. I decided to reread it because it is such a nostalgic story for me. It is about a girl named Judy, and she's sent to college by a benefactor, like a rich man. She has grown up in an orphanage, and he sends her to college, pays for everything, and all she has to do is send him letters every month. And this book is epistolary novel because it contains the letters Judy writes to the man, and the man she calls Daddy Longlegs because the first time she saw him, she saw his shadow, and it was like late in the evening, and the shadow was really long, so she calls him Daddy Longlegs. It is a lovely book. I really like it. I grew up with the story. feel like I've said it multiple times. It is a really nostalgic story for me, so I love it. Then I read Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo and Danny Pendergast. Story is by Leigh Bardugo, illustrations by Danny Pendergast, because this is a graphic novel. It is a Darkling origin story, so it has beautiful illustrations. The story was okay. I liked it, but nothing like too special. If you like Grishaverse, you probably could enjoy it. I have liked the books I have read from this series, so I definitely wanted this one and I enjoyed it, but I really liked the illustrations. I haven't read that many graphic novels, so yeah, I feel like I would like to read more of them, but I just don't own them. And I don't tend to buy a lot of graphic novels. Yeah, if you're interested, definitely read it. Then another ebook, The Girl He Needs by Christy Rose. This one I had to buy. No, I didn't buy it. It was for free on Kindle, but because there was magical redesign happening and there was one prompt where I had to use a word from the last song I listened, and it like pick whatever word, and that title was and pick a book, and I had something with he. So this book, I just looked up free books for Kindle, and the first one that jumped out for me, and I picked it. It is a romance. I can't seem to remember a lot about this one either, though I read it just last month. But I think this was about a woman who is changing jobs really often and kind of running from one place to another, and can't be in a relationship for a long time because in her past her heart got broken and she doesn't trust people anymore, or something like that. And she wants to find her brother, and by a chance she finds brother duo who is going to the area where she needs to get, so she goes with them to there, and she needs a new job and she finds it. She has a relationship with one of the men there, and yeah, a lot of things happen. She tries to help him with his work, and yeah, I don't remember a lot of things. I read it pretty quickly and it was enjoyable read at the time, but apparently not the one that sticks because I don't remember a lot of it. Then I have another poetry book. I read Zemes Dziesma by Fritzis Barda, or Song of the Earth by Fritzis Barda. That is a Latvian author, and this is a collection that was made celebrating his 80th birthday. So it contains poems from different parts of his life, like from different poetry collections that were published before this one. There were some poems in this that I remember from childhood, from school, some even that I have learned like to recite and I still remember. One definitely I remember, like I just know it by heart. It's one of my favorite poems, so of course I know it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really good, and I'm surprised that I have read 2 poetry collections in like summer. I usually don't pick them up that much because it's not my favorite thing to read. Then Cat Lady Readathon happened, and I read The Book Cat by Polly Faber and illustrated by Clara Woolley. This was a cute little book about a cat in London, how he goes through his life. And it is around World War II, so there are some tragic moments happening, but it was super cute. I enjoyed it, especially the illustrations. Like, the illustrations are my favorite part. What is this? Oh, I think I went to buy some jeans on the day I read this book, so yeah, just super cute illustrations. I love it. Yeah, one of my favorite books for the year, I think. So it was super cute. Then I read Warcross by Mary Lou. This is a sci-fi kind of book that relates to video games, but I feel like it is compared to Ready Player One on some level by Ernest Cline. That is one of my favorite books. But this one, I don't know. I didn't understand the game. It has the same kind of thing where you can log into a game and you are the character in the game. Like you can adjust your avatar and things like that. But our main character is kind of a bounty hunter. She tries to catch people who the police has no time, but who cheat in the game. And then she does something that catches an eye of the creator of the game, and he hires her to help figure out some things that are happening. So yeah, it is a duology. I have read the first book. I don't think I'm gonna read the second one because it was enough and I didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped because I've heard a lot of good things about it. But yeah, it just wasn't it. Maybe because I expected something more from it or something. I don't know what I expected. Just something. And I like Ready Player One much better. Maybe because I didn't understand the game completely. But there were interesting parts. The story moved and things happened that were really interesting and you just want to figure out what is happening. So yeah, it wasn't a bad book, but wasn't my favorite. Then the other book I started for Cat Lady Readathon, but I didn't finish because it's a big one. It is a really, really big one. But it is big because it contains the whole trilogy, and it is 9 Lives of Chloe King by Liz Braswell. I read the whole trilogy. It was okay. I like the first book the best because it was about our main character figuring out things. She has an accident where she should have been dead after the accident because she fell from a really high tower, but she's alive. And from that moment on, weird things happen. Like she notices that she can do things, like run faster, smell things. So the first book is about she figuring out who she really is. And the second and the rest, like there's some things happening. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it was good. But there were some things that I noticed, like I read one book after another. And when you just finish a book and start the next one right after, you can notice some differences, like small ones. Some events didn't match up, like how the first book ended and the second one started. Like it's a recap of like what happened in the first one, and the order of the events, I feel like it didn't match up. And the same thing a bit happened between the book 2 and 3. I'm glad I finally read this one because it's been on my TBR, I feel like for 10 years or something like that. And yeah, it relates to cats. That part I really enjoyed. How who she is relates to cats. That was really interesting. And then the last book I read was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This is a YA book about a girl who creates a graphic novel online, and she is really big. The graphic novel, her story is really big. She has a lot of fans, and no one knows who she actually is, like who is the creator. No one knows that she is the creator of the graphic novel. Just few people know that. And she meets a new boy in school who turns out a fan of her novel, and he writes fan fiction. And yes, they start a relationship, and she's scared to tell who she really is. So he doesn't know that she is the creator of his favorite thing. Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. The relationship between two of them and the depiction of kind of online things, online friendships. How you can have friends that you have never met and you talk with them online. That part I really enjoyed. And I would like to see the graphic novel like more. There were some snippets of it, and some little illustrations, but it is hard in an ebook to see them. I feel like if I had a physical book, it would be more enjoyable to see all the illustrations. So yeah, that's it. I went through the books as quickly as I could. I've been here for over 40 minutes filming, and I need to end this because I need to edit it. It's gonna be a nightmare, but yeah, this is it. These were the books I read during the summer. Please let me know what was the last book you read, and did you enjoy it? If you have read any of the books I mentioned and want to say anything about them, you can do that in the comments down below. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you in the next one. Bye!